It was one of those afternoons that start out perfectly ordinary and end up changing everything. The sun was low, kids' laughter spilling out of Brookside Elementary, and I was leaning against my car, just a mom waiting for the bell to ring. My name's Dr. Mariah Bennett, though around the office they call me the woman rewriting the rules. I work for the governor, criminal justice reform of all things. Funny, right? That's exactly what made what happened next so surreal. I saw him coming before I heard him, Detective Kyle Mercer badge glinting, chin up, walking like the sidewalk belonged to him. He stopped a few feet away, hand resting on his belt, the way some men rest a hand on a gun. "Ma'am, I'm going to need to see some ID." His tone wasn't a request, it was a verdict. I blinked. "Excuse me, is there a problem?" "Got a call about a suspicious individual near the school. Description fits black female expensive clothes watching the kids." I almost laughed. "You mean waiting for my daughters?" But there was no humor in his eyes, just that old suspicion I'd seen my whole life, the kind that doesn't ask questions, it decides. I gave him my name, Dr. Mariah Bennett. His mouth twisted like the word doctor tasted bitter. "What kind of doctor hangs around playgrounds?" He sneered. That one hit me right in the gut. You'd think after all these years, all the degrees, the titles, the meetings in marble buildings, I'd be immune to that tone, but no. It burns the same every time. "I'm a policy advisor," I said, trying to stay steady, "for the state government." He smirked. "Oh, one of those. The people who think cops are the problem." I took a slow breath. "No, detective. I think bad systems create bad outcomes." He stepped closer, too close. "Well, maybe you shouldn't be hanging around kids if you don't like cops watching." The crowd started forming, parents whispering, phones coming out. I could feel every eye on me, on my skin, on the invisible weight of centuries pressing down. He asked for ID again, voice sharp, hand tapping his belt. And that's when he said it, the thing that made the world go quiet. "If you don't comply, I'll have to place you under arrest for obstruction. Maybe even call child services to check on your kids." That's the moment every black mother dreads, the point where fear turns to fury. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just reached into my purse, slow and deliberate. He tensed, ready for whatever movie he was playing in his head. But I wasn't pulling a weapon. I was pulling my phone. I scrolled to the top of my favorites list. Governor Elaine Foster. Hit call. It rang once, twice, Mariah. Her voice came bright and casual. "Aren't you supposed to be a pickup? Everything okay?" I met the detective's eyes. "Governor." "I'm standing in front of Brookside Elementary being detained by Detective Kyle Mercer. He's threatening to call Child Protective Services if he don't comply." The silence that followed was heavier than any shout. I swear you could hear the leaves stop rustling. The governor's voice dropped an octave. "Put him on the phone." His face drained of color. He took the phone like it was burning his hand. The conversation lasted 15 seconds. When he handed it back, his swagger was gone. The man who'd just been playing God now looked like a kid caught stealing from the collection plate. The school bell rang. My twins, Aaliyah and Grace, ran toward me, pigtails bouncing, eyes bright. They hugged my legs before noticing the crowd. "Mommy, why does that policeman look scared?" Grace asked. I knelt down, brushed her hair back. "Because, sweetheart, sometimes grown-ups forget what power is for." By that night, it wasn't just a story in one parking lot, it was everywhere. Parents had posted videos, the governor had launched an investigation, and Detective Mercer had been recalled to headquarters pending review. I didn't feel triumphant, I felt tired. Tired that it took a phone call to power to make someone see me as human. The next morning, my inbox exploded. Reporters, lawyers, even other mothers. Turns out Mercer had been doing this for years, threatening black families with child services if they questioned him. 43 complaints. 43. All not sustained. My case was just the one that hit sunlight. I sat in the governor's office reading report after report, each one like a bruise on paper. Families who didn't have a direct line to power, who had to swallow the humiliation because fighting back cost too much. The governor looked at me and said, "Mariah, you realize this is bigger than him now." "I do," I told her. "It's the whole system that let him think he could do it." Federal investigators came next. They called it a pattern of civil rights violations. I called it what it was: terror in uniform. When they asked what he'd said, I repeated his words: "I'll call child services." Even saying it out loud again made my stomach twist. Because that's the nuclear button for any parent. The idea that someone can take your children because they can. Meanwhile, the school board was scrambling, trying to rewrite policies. Principal Carla Nguyen, bless her heart, pulled me aside and said, "Dr. Bennett, we never thought to question a cop before. We just assumed authority meant safety." I smiled, but there was an ache behind it. That's what everyone assumes until it's pointed at them. Weeks later, we held a community meeting. I stood behind a folding table in the gym, not as a victim, but as a mother who'd had enough. The place was packed: teachers, cops, church ladies, even kids clutching juice boxes. I told them the truth. What happened to me isn't unique. It's just the first time it happened to someone who could call the governor. That got a quiet laugh, but also nods, sad, knowing ones. I talked about new legislation. We were drafting laws to make it a crime for officers to threaten family separation without real cause, laws that forced departments to track patterns, not hide them in separate files. When I finished, people stood up and clapped, but I wasn't thinking about applause. I was thinking about the next mom who wouldn't have to make that call. As for Mercer, he lawyered up, of course, tried to claim he was just doing his job. But when federal prosecutors laid out the pattern, 8 families, all black, all threatened with CPS, the courtroom went dead quiet. He took a plea deal, 8 years in federal prison. The irony: his case will be used in training manuals for decades under the heading, "What Not to Do." One night after all the noise died down, Aaliyah crawled into my lap and asked, "Mommy, are the policemen still mad at you?" I hugged her tight. "Maybe some are, but the good ones, they're listening now." Grace chimed in sleepy-eyed. "You fixed it right." I smiled into her hair. "We're fixing it, baby. It's gonna take a while." Sometimes late at night, I still replay that moment: the hand on the belt, the threat hanging in the air, the quiet after I made that call. It's strange. I used to believe change happened in boardrooms through data and policy memos. Turns out sometimes it starts in a parking lot with a scared cop and a mother who refuses to flinch. And maybe that's the real lesson here. Power isn't about titles or phones or who you know at the Capitol. It's about knowing when to stand your ground, even when your voice shakes, even when the whole crowd's watching. So let me ask you, if you were me standing there by that fence with your kids watching and a badge in your face, what would you have done? Would you have called for help or kept your head down and hoped it'd pass? Tell me in the comments, because that question isn't just about me. It's about every family that's ever been told they don't belong somewhere they've already earned the right to stand.